you must be leveraging your amenities, leveraging your uniqueness. There's no reason to spend $10,000 on a hot tub if you're not going to market it and you're not going to leverage that. Welcome back to SER Unfiltered. Today I want to talk about the best and some of the worst amenities to add to your short-term rental. I know that it's a struggle right now. I know that it was a struggle last year. And a lot of you think that you can amenity your way out of the doldrums of having an open calendar or having to compete on price. But before we dive into what are the best amenities to add and what are some that you should stay away from, I want to talk about a couple of things. I think it's time that all of us need to take a really close look at our property. And what I mean by this is really evaluate it. So would you buy this property again? If you would not buy this property again, it's probably time to move on, to be honest with you. So I kind of use this analogy with my inner circle and mastermind students. When somebody is doing a return on equity audit and almost everybody wants to stick with the property that they already have as opposed to sell because it's really challenging. The performance don't work. The interest rates are too high. It's really hard to do a HELOC or a cash out refi. So either you keep it and you upgrade it or you sell it. Most people get emotionally attached and they don't want to sell. And it's really simple. Hey, you're making $20,000 a year. You have $200,000 in equity. That's a 10-year payback for that $20,000 annual net profit to get to $200,000. What are you going to do? Well, I think I can improve it. Okay, so let me ask you this question. What if I was to sit $200,000 in cash down on the table in front of you? Would you take the $200,000 in cash or would you wait for the $20,000 a year in net income over 10 years? Let that sink in because like 99.9% of us are going to take the cash. Then I ask him, would you use that $200,000 to buy this property or would you go and deploy that for another 1 or 2 properties? And the answer is always the same. Yeah, I'm a better investor today than I was when I bought that bad property in whatever market in 2021 or 2022. Hopefully you've learned through podcasts like this or paid programs or conferences or whatever that is to where you have improved your skills. And if you've improved your skills, then you should be looking at redeploying. It's one of the reasons that my longest owned property that I currently have is 3.5 years. And it's my number 1 producing property that I built and opened up in December 9th of 2020. So really it's 3.5 years. It won't even be 4 years until we get to December. The old way of investing in LTR is to buy and hold. And if we can break even or if we can make a little bit of cash flow, that's great. And we are reliant on appreciation. Today, it's cash flow plus appreciation plus tax benefits. And the cash flow is what reigns supreme. So one of the ways to be able to increase cash flow is through adding amenities. But a lot of amenities that we add provide us more marketability, but not adding ADR, average daily rate. It's not going to allow you to increase your price point. Just let that sink in for things. So a lot of the stuff that Bria, my wife, and I do is to give us more marketability and to stand out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be able to charge more. Case in point, that number 1 property, an amenity that we added after doing research of every single property in West Beach of Gulf Shores. That's probably about 2,000 properties. And on West Beach Boulevard, West Lagoon, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 7th, 8th streets that run perpendicular, all of these different STRs, we literally went through the enemy method. And outside of some condos, almost nobody had cabanas or shade for their pools. And where we're at on West Beach, we can go out to our pool and we can look up and down and you see West Lagoon on the back side, West Beach on the front side. And we can see all the pools. And you go there during the summer and literally people have umbrellas zip tied to the railings around the pool. They have pop-up tents. They want shade. But there's no data from STR Insights, from AirDNA, Rabu Matchvisor, anywhere to show us, because nobody has done it, that spending $12,000 on putting in cabanas is going to increase my revenue, that it's going to allow me to increase my average daily rate. It just doesn't exist. But what it did, we did make that investment. It cost like $11,800. We were the only house with a pool that had cabanas. We were able to market that, right? So creating marketing opportunity, creating separation, and many times is as important as being able to increase ADR. Is it a much more passive way to get that return on investment? Absolutely. Same thing as when I decided to spend $2,200 for that same house to pull a gas line to the front of the property and buy a gas pool heater as opposed to doing an electric like everybody else, because in January and February when the wind's blowing and it's like 45 degrees, the people with electric heaters can't get their pool to 85 degrees. Whereas I created marketing opportunity for myself to go in my listing, I showcase my pool and I say gas heater can get pool to 90 degrees in February. It creates a marketing opportunity for me. And then I pose a question in the description and underneath those pool images. If you rent a house with an electric heater, your kids are going to freeze. Ask the host what type of heater they have. I guarantee I can get them to 90 degrees. Like once the heater hasn't worked, it was out, we blew a fuse, and I gave them 100% refund. But that heater also creates a profit center for me. During like December, January, February, I just leave my heater on the entire time. I never turn it off because I have enough occupancy to support that. And I charge $50 a night. So 50 times 30 is $1,500. My average heating bill during the winter is running me about $650 to $700. So I'm almost keystoning that, doubling that, to where I'm turning a $700, $800 profit off of my pool heating, and I've created the marketability. So the additional cost was around $3,000, $3,500. I think it was an extra $1,000 to go with gas versus electric on the heater side, $2,200. So let's just call that $3,200. I made that back in the first 2 seasons. And possibly if you look at how many people heat the pool in October and November and in March, and they're still heating as I record this in April, probably made it back in the first year. That is a rock solid investment. You know, it's not a rock solid investment long term, specifically at the beach. And I see some of these other influencers, some of these other coaches that are doing this, they're putting in pickleball courts. Flash in the pan, discuss this with Kenny Bedwell from SDR Insights all the time. Can't show any data at all that installing between a $10,000 to $20,000 pickleball court, they range in price based on geography. Zero data showing that they can increase revenue. Now, if you're in the villages in Florida or in Scottsdale trying to target older people that are playing pickleball, more power to you. Create that marketing opportunity. The other one is I see people putting in these cheap wood putt golf courses and they have no clue how those things deteriorate. Remember, I created and owned glow-in-the-dark miniature golf courses. And we've done them on cruise ships. We've done them in shopping malls. We had over 170 of them in shopping malls. They deteriorate quickly. So one of the things that I'm looking at when I'm adding amenities is I want to make sure that they're going to have longevity, like a hot tub or a fire pit. Every single property that I own has a fire pit, even at the beach. I have a small 3-2 beachfront in Fort Morgan, Alabama. I don't have any land to where I can go and do a wood-burning fire pit. So at that Dragonfly property, I bought one of the big solo stoves for about $400 or $500. People love it. I have it sat out behind the house. No, it's not underneath. It's by the pool. We have Adirondack chairs around it. Checks the box. That's a big box to be able to check. Out my small 3-2 little Dragonfly, I have about a $700 concrete-looking propane-powered fire pit. Every property has a fire pit, even if it's small, even if it's inexpensive, because those are going to give you an extremely positive return. Once again, a fire pit like that is not something that's going to allow you to increase your ADR, but it's going to help you with search when you check that box and people are looking for it on the OTAs and in the marketing. And you hear me talk about in marketing, you must be leveraging your amenities, leveraging your uniqueness. There's no reason to spend $10,000 on a hot tub if you're not going to market it and you're not going to leverage that. Just checking that box, especially when you're in a mountain market that to where it's basically required, does not do you any good. You need the high quality photos at sunset. You need to have the charcuterie board and the wine glasses to showcase this experience for them. Big difference in just having a picture of a hot tub. So one of the very first properties that I made a significant investment into, something that really didn't exist, was at my first lake property. It was in 2020. It started in August of 2020. It took about a month to get this built, but I built an outdoor fireplace. And we poured a pad, we built a 12-foot tall fireplace, we posted around it and put string lights, we put LED lights on the fireplace. But the big thing is that when I did all my research, this is at Lewis Smith Lake, about an hour north of Birmingham. When I went in, same thing as when I was looking at the cabanas. I'm looking for every place else on the lake to see who has it. Not one place in my price range. There were houses that were not STRs that were like $2, $3, $4 million houses that had fireplaces down on the edge of the water. Nobody else did. Everybody had fire pits. Some people had fireplaces if they were up on cliffs, up on their patio, on their deck, but nobody built one right down by the water. That's what Bria and I did. It cost us about $18,000. And the way that we marketed it, the photos that we got with people there actually utilizing it at sunset, there's no way to track this. And understand, as a marketer, we ruin everything because we have to track the results. But I can tell you, as an experienced host and a digital and online e-commerce marketer, that I believe we got our return on investment that in about 12 to 15 months. So here's the financial component of this discussion. Anytime that I can get a return on amenity, so that's my return on investment and my total capital investment into the amenity, in less than 24 months, I'm going to do it. That very same house that I built the fireplace at is where we created the coffee bar. And I know that everybody has coffee bars and they have all this stuff, but we added everything and we branded it. That's the difference, folks. Don't just go have an all-in-one, a K-cup, and then a frother and then an espresso machine and a grinder, and beans and to-go cups and 20 different choices like we do. And we created this property and just leave it sit there. That went in our first 5 images. That went into our marketing off platform. We showcased it. We put signs up about a coffee bar. We turned it into this experience, and we were targeting coffee lovers. Literally, we want people that just can't go without Starbucks, because when you don't showcase that you have that, I'm going to win because I'm marketing it, because I'm giving it prominent placement inside of my listings. That's why in all of my listings, you don't even go inside my house till image 6, 7, 8, sometimes even 9 or 10, if there's a ton of traffic and a ton of outdoor amenities, because we want to build from the out in. And you literally, I could sit here and tell you, even my Montana property, or my first Montana property, literally I added a $5,000, $6,000 deck added on to the existing deck, put a hot tub out there. Then I spent $7,000 on a barrel sauna and strategically place it over to the side. Master Suite comes out and I have that view, if you've seen it, right up the river to the lake, to the Canadian Rockies in Canada, right to the side of it, same angle, glass door. Spent the extra $400 on the sauna so you could take pictures inside to show them the view. Hot tub showing the view. Completely different than just investing into the hot tub and the sauna. Only reason I bought a barrel sauna is no short-term rentals had a barrel sauna at their property. The lodge at Whitefish, or the Whitefish Lodge, had 2 of them. But it's a lodge, it's not an Airbnb. And they didn't work when I held my mastermind there. So once again, I'm finding holes, I'm finding gaps with my amenities so I can truly be unique. I'm in Whitefish, Montana. I'm flying there tomorrow morning, doing my Montana fly fishing retreat. But I'm also meeting my contractor tomorrow before all of the attendees arrive on Monday, because we are putting in a hype dome. And we're doing a 15-foot clear dome that Bria's going to decorate inside with a love seat, some soft chairs, some cushioning, a little fireplace, and then a telescope. Because it is the big sky for people to go outside and stare at the stars. But also, instead of being on the right-hand side where the barrel sauna and the hot tub is, it's on the left-hand side, right on the water, just like that fireplace. It's about 15 feet away from the water, nestled under trees, but it's got the view. So that way you can sit out there in the morning with your cup of coffee and read the paper, or check your iPhone, or just relax and listen to nature and the birds and the bald eagles that fly over. Or at night, you can have a romantic evening under the stars with your spouse sipping a glass of 2015 vintage Cabernet from Napa Valley. That verbiage that I just used will be the copy in my listings and in my marketing when I have that, because that now is giving me the ability. Once again, nobody has a dome. No Airbnb, no Verbos in that area have a dome. And there's one place, a Clydesdale retreat, that has small Amazon domes. This is Hype Dome. If you've never seen Hype Domes, these are the top of the line domes, and they're 15 feet. They're not cramped 8 or 10 feet domes. And we were putting in a $600 telescope that we've already purchased that we have inside the house. We're creating a whole nother experience that will attract people there. Will I be able to raise ADR? No. On that property, doubt I'm going to do it this summer. Probably next spring, I'm going to add 1 to 2 tiny houses, tiny homes. I have room for that. Will that increase ADR? 100%. Would I make a $60,000 to $70,000 investment without knowing that I can increase it? Absolutely not. So when I get into these investments, and even this hype dome, it's $7,000 for the hype dome. It's $4,600 to build the deck and add that on, right? It's probably gonna be another $2,000 for furniture. So we're talking literally $15,000, $16,000. And here's the key. I underwrite that investment just like I do when I purchase a property. I underwrite every amenity that's going to be over $5,000. And a lot of it can be intangible, but I do my research to see who has it, who doesn't. And if they do have it, what is their ADR? What are they charging? What other amenities do they have? How high quality are their photos? How good is their copywriting? All those things I'm grading into a spreadsheet, and then I am going to forecast what I think I will do from either increase of occupancy or increase of ADR depending on the amenity. So I treat the $5,000 amenity the exact same way I'll treat the $60,000 to $70,000 tiny home. And if you take that approach as well, then you'll make better decisions on what amenities to stay away from and what amenities to add to your property. This is all part of maximizing profit. It's an occupancy game today, so it's a marketing game. You need to, one, nail the evaluation of your property and be doing a return on equity audit every 90 to 120 days. Number two, you need to be a kick-ass revenue manager. I'm not just talking about setting and forgetting price labs. I'm like being inside and revenue managing 3-4 times a week minimum, investing the time, taking those 2 extra steps. And then you better learn how to become an expert in listing optimization and off-platform marketing. If you want to max out your return on investment, this is part of that 550, 250 property stacking plan. You can't just make investments and sit back and just let come what comes. If you want to generate $250,000 a year in net to income on one cash investment with only 5 properties. Right down below, I've got a free masterclass for you if you want to dive deeper into that and see how that really happens. It's exactly what I've done 4 times. That's why I only own 13 properties. I'm going to do probably 1.1, 1.2 million net on about 2.4 to 2.6, 2.45 to 2.6 million this year. It's about sound investments. It's about positioning, leverage, and marketing. Take your first glimpse in that free masterclass, and I'll see you next week on STR Unfiltered.